Hey guys, how you doing today? I want to show you my beautiful ruby Cascade. I've had her for, I don't know, a few years now. You see how long she is. She just goes and goes and goes. But what I would like to do with her today is, first of all, she needs to go in a bigger pot. I've got her in a little 4-inch pot. It's kind of short and squatty. And I want to propagate her, and I'm going to show you how I do it. It's really easy. It works really good. But I think I want to take, I don't know, about almost half is what I want to cut down. But I propagated her in the winter, and this is all new. And I will show you exactly how I do it. Let's grab her and take her in my plant room, and we'll get started with that. I just love her. She's so pretty. Can you guys see the beautiful color? But she is raggedy and she needs some help. So let's go do this and get her in her new house for the summer where she will take off. Alright guys, here she is. And this plant is just super crazy. I'll show you. Oh, she's sticking to everything, which is why I hate messing with this plant too much. But you can see she's just overly long, and then you can also see here where pieces of her have died off. They get tangled on stuff and you pull them and then it just rips the plant. But she's got a lot of crispy up in here. I'm just kind of taking some of that off, like right in here. But I'm not going to mess with her too much. I'm going to try to just leave well enough alone with this plant, because it just, every time you mess with it, the leaves pop off. So I'm just kind of gently, oh there, see, I ripped that piece off. And this will be a nightmare to untangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it like this for now. But the first thing I want to do is I want to take her out of this pot. She's been drying up really quickly. I don't know if I'm going to have to repot her into a bigger pot or not. She may just need a little bit of freshened up soil, and we'll just see when we get in and get her out of here, because if I can get my hands are so sore. But you can see this is a new piece that I put in this winter, and I'll show you a little bit later how I do that, how I propagate her. But right now I'm just going to loosen up. I want to loosen up her soil. See what we got going on in here, and then hope to high heaven that I do not tangle her up any worse than what she already is. I love this plant, but this is a plant that is a huge, huge pain to try to work with. So I'm just going to kind of dump Now, she does have roots all the way down there. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but, I don't know if I did any damage or not, but I really do not think she needs to go into a bigger pot. I think that she just needs to well, yeah, actually she does need to go into a bigger pot because she's just going to keep getting more and more root bound, and I'm going to be adding more cuttings to the pot. They're very, very fine. It has a very, very fine root system, and this pot is probably going to be overkill. But the one thing about this plant that I have found, especially, first of all, she likes really bright light, and she does not really like to dry out, because if you let her dry out too much, she gets a lot of dried stems. The leaves are very thin, and the roots are very thin. Now I'm putting a coffee filter over this hole because this has a huge hole and I hate dealing with it. This is just an old pot that I've had. Now I'm going to scoot her over here a little bit. I'm going to add in some soil, hold that coffee filter down. I've got little pieces of her that fell off. Now I'm going to add quite a bit of perlite to this because it is such a big pot that I just don't have any in between, and I really need this pot to be hanging. So, and I think she'll be okay as long as I be careful and I don't overwater her. So I'm just going to keep filling this up and then add more perlite. Tapping it down just a little bit to make sure my soil is tapped down so it won't fall. Now what I'm going to try to do is, there's two pieces to this. My older piece, and I'm just going to, I'm not messing with her too much because she is a nightmare to try to get untangled. As you guys know, I've said that like 1,000 times, but just kind of loosened up the soil of the root ball, and I'm pushing it down in here, and then I'm packing just a little bit more soil around her. And then this tiny piece, and I think this is a piece that I put in this winter, and they're kind of hooked together so I can't go too far away from each other, but that's okay. I've got new I'm going to put in here. Push that down, get some of that soil up and around. Try to pick some more of this dead off, but there, that came out nicely. It wasn't tangled all over everything. So now what I'm going to do is I want to fill this pot on this side over here and get her nice and filled up. tap it down there a little bit. I'm going to scoot this back. Throw that on the floor. I'm going to scoot her back. And then I'm going to kind of... Oh, what's else going on here? Piece of dead. So I am just going to... Do you hear my dog out there yawning? Oh, well, she's got such a rough life. Now, I want to cut and trim a bunch of this off. This is the piece that got broke, I think, that I put up there. I'll catch her in a minute. I'm just going to stretch this out, and then I'm going to take and cut this off. Can you guys see? Okay. I'm going to cut this off right about here, about this long. I'm just going to trim in that. Oop, missed one. And then I'm just going to knock off these leaves here on the end, down to about, I don't know, inch and a half. Just pull all those little leaves off. See a dead spot. There. That's pretty good. There, so you've got all that open. That one's kind of short. I'm going to take off a couple more leaves. Oh! So there's a nice long piece, and then there's all your open-ended. And okay. Here, I think you guys can see a little bit better. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just drench out a little area, and then I'm going to I'm trying to make sure these are all kind of even, because I laid them down and they kind of got, there, that leaf can go. I mean, if you leave a couple on, I don't think it's really going to hurt anything. You know, if you leave a couple of the leaves on. Just trying to even up the stems without, and then I'm going to I take mine, and then I lay it down in the soil like this. Can you guys see? Lay her down like that. Cover it up with a little bit of soil. Tap it down a little bit, and then I take a rock. Any rock will do, and lay that right on top of those stems that you just put in. And then I tap it down quite a bit, but you got to make sure you have that soil over top. And then you can also take all these leaves off on the very bottom of your plant that's still hooked together. All this is your plant. You can take the bottom where you just cut it, or the bottom of your plant, take all those leaves off, leave it hooked to the mother plant, and then do the same and lay it down, put some soil over it, and then put your rack down. But I'm not going to do it that way today. My camera keeps moving. I can't figure out why it's so wiggly on my tripod. Ooh. There, I think I fixed it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, because you can still see I've got quite a bit, you know, I've got quite a bit more, and I don't need all this because this plant is going to grow like wildfire over the summer. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to cut off another strand, like how I did the first time, and then I'm kind of stretching it out. I know I'm probably off camera, but I'm just kind of stretching it out, trying to get it as even as I can. With this plant, it is a nightmare. For those of you that have this plant, or even the string of parts, ugh, tangle up mess. The plant is gorgeous, but it's also can be kind of a nightmare. I just seen another dead branch here. I think I'm just going to cut it as best as I can, rather than pull it, because it pulls all the little delicate leaves off. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to cut about right here, and then I'm going to do the exact same. Pull all these little leaves off. Take them down to about 1 inch. They pull off nicely. I'm just kind of running my fingernail over it, popping them off. You don't have to sit and cut. There, that's good. Now I'm just kind of taking them, and I want to put the other one over here. So I'm just going to make a little shallow area. Lay them down in here, like that. Cover that up with soil. It doesn't have to be really deep. And put my rock over it. I think I'm going to grab another one. Now I'm just using lava rock because that's what I have. Just laying, I'm going to put a little extra down, like that. And then I'm going to just put some more perlite in here. That way it'll sink down in when I go to water it. And then now that's all we need to do. I'm going to clean up my mess and get a tray and water it in. Okay, I got my water in a tray. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to water this on nicely. You want to make sure you're getting all of those new cuttings that you just put in. Now the racks serve two purposes in this. And it holds your cuttings down, and putting the rack on top helps it root out a little bit faster because you're holding them down into the soil. I'm going to go ahead and water it again. I hope I didn't send this plant into too much shock, ripping her little roots out, but she really, really, really needed a refresh. One thing about this plant, though I love it, it is very tangly, and I've got all kinds of babies down here in my fresh soil that I'm going to have to pick them out. But okay, that pot seems nice and heavy. I'm not going to water anymore because it was a bigger pot. But there's a new side And there's the new side, and then the mother plant is all nice and shorter. This plant grows really, really quickly, at least for me. It has, in the summertime, I keep her out on my back porch in the southeast window. She gets a lot of light. She keeps her color very beautifully. You can see all the red. In the wintertime, I grow her off about 3 feet from my MarsHydro Grow Light, and she really grew a lot this winter. But the reason I took this propagation was I went to take her down, and she was wrapped around another plant, or, you know, tangled. I don't remember now which plant it was because I move my plants around so much. And when I pulled it, it just jerked out a whole section of the plant, and then a lot of it was ripped. And but keep her moist, especially where these new cuttings where you put them. Even if this plant doesn't need water, you can go in and just specifically like water right over that rock. Keep it, because you're going to want to keep those cuttings fresh and moist for a while until they root out really well. You can also put, if you want to, you can put like a little bit of spag on top. Put your cutting down in the soil, put spag on top, and then put dirt over it, and then put your rock down over it. But I didn't do that because I'm kind of anal about watering my plants. I love to water. I just find it very relaxing. I know a lot of people hate it, but I just love taking an hour or two every day and walking around looking at my plants and watering things and trimming and, you know, looking at my plants. That's usually the first thing I do in the mornings. But with all my gardening, I've been kind of neglecting. I wanted to do this to her before I took her out on the back porch, but well, I'm not neglecting my plants, but they're not getting as much of my attention as they usually, you know, do. But I guarantee within a month this plant will be all rooted out on both ends, and she will be the mother plant. The original plant will be growing like crazy. By the end of summer, ugh, she'll be a long nightmare again. But at least now she'll be bushier, and I can just kind of keep working my way around the pot eventually. I could cut more off this if I really wanted to, but I don't really want to. I like the long. But I will get her hung back up and show you. She's going right back in the same spot. Alright guys, there she is. Much shorter now, but she won't be. There, see? Messing with the plant and you lose leaves. Ugh. Leave it alone. Stop touching it. That looks kind of funny. It looks like she's got little piggy tails on. There are little piggy tails on each end of the plant. We will check this plant. I'll try to remember. And we'll see how she's rooted out. But all you gotta do is take the rock off, give it a little bit of a tug, see if she's rooted down. If not, put the rock back on. A lot of times I leave my rocks on and I forget to take them off, and it never hurts anything, so I don't know. It's up to you. But alright guys, I'm going to let you go and I will talk to you later. Bye. Peace.